deep in a dark forest, where the trees towered like giants and the moonlight barely touched the ground. There was a young boy named Oliver. His small frame was wrapped in a tattered cloak that fluttered as he walked. The cool night air sent shivers down his spine. But it was not just the chill that made him feel uneasy. It was the heavy weight of loneliness that pressed on his heart. Oliver had lost everything he held dear. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. Just weeks ago, he lived in a cozy cottage with his parents and a playful puppy named Max. They would spend evenings gathered around the fireplace, sharing stories and laughter. But one terrible night, a sudden storm swept through their village. The winds howled like wild animals, and lightning cracked across the sky. In the chaos, Oliver became separated from his family, and when the storm passed, he found himself alone. He searched for them, calling their names until his voice grew hoarse, but no answer came. Now, as he wandered through the forest, Oliver felt like a ghost in a world that had forgotten him. The trees loomed ominously above him, their branches twisting like skeletal hands reaching out for something lost. The shadows danced around him, whispering secrets he could not understand. Each rustle of leaves sent a jolt of fear through his heart. He longed for the warmth of his home, for the comforting hugs of his mother and father. But all he had was silence. As he walked deeper into the woods, his tiny feet began to ache. He stumbled upon a small clearing where pale moonlight spilled onto the ground like liquid silver. There, in the center of the clearing, stood an ancient castle cloaked in darkness. Its tall towers pierced the sky, and its stone walls were covered in creeping vines. Oliver felt both scared and curious. It was unlike anything he had ever seen before. With hesitant steps, he approached the castle's enormous wooden doors. They creaked open slowly, as if inviting him inside. Taking a deep breath to steady himself, Oliver stepped over the threshold into the dimly lit hall. The air inside smelled of old books and something sweet, like candy or flowers. But as he took another step forward, he felt a sudden chill race down his spine. "Who dares enter my castle?" A deep voice echoed through the hall. Oliver's heart raced as he turned to see a tall figure emerge from the shadows. The figure was regal and commanding, with long, flowing hair as dark as midnight. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light that made Oliver feel both frightened and fascinated. I'm sorry," Oliver stammered, feeling small beneath the gaze of this mysterious stranger. "I didn't mean to intrude." The figure stepped closer, revealing fangs that gleamed like polished ivory. "I am the Vampire King," he declared, with an air of authority. "And you are far from home, little boy." Oliver's heart pounded faster at the mention of vampire. Was this creature truly what people whispered about in fearful tones? But before he could say anything else, the Vampire King continued speaking, his voice softer now. "What brings you to my domain? You look lost and perhaps a little sad." The boy swallowed hard and took a shaky breath. "I have no family," he admitted quietly, tears welling in his eyes. "I lost them during a storm. I've been wandering these woods alone." The Vampire King's expression softened slightly as he listened to Oliver's tale. He could see the pain in the boy's eyes and understood what it meant to feel alone in this vast and dark world. "You don't need to be alone," the Vampire King said gently. "You do have a family now, if you choose to accept it." Oliver blinked in surprise, unsure of what to think or say. Was it possible? Could this powerful and mystical being truly offer him a place to belong? In that moment, hope flickered within him, like a tiny flame fighting against the dark. But doubts crept into his mind as well. Would living with a vampire be safe? What kind of family would they be? He had so many questions swirling inside him as he gazed up at the Vampire King, searching for answers in those glowing eyes. The castle felt alive around him, filled with secrets yet to be uncovered. With each heartbeat echoing in his chest, Oliver stood at a crossroads. One path led back to isolation, while the other held promises of belonging he had long dreamed of finding. "Will you show me what it means to be part of your family?" Oliver asked hesitantly, feeling both fear and excitement bubbling within him. The Vampire King smiled, a warm smile that contrasted with his fierce appearance, and nodded slowly. "Yes, little one. Together we shall embark on a journey unlike any other." As Oliver stood in the dimly lit hall of the castle, he felt a mix of wonder and fear swirling inside him. The massive doors creaked shut behind him, sealing him within the mysterious realm of the Vampire King. For a moment, he hesitated, overwhelmed by the shadows that danced along the stone walls. It felt like stepping into a different world, one filled with secrets and enchantment. The air was heavy with a sweet aroma that reminded Oliver of candy, but there was something more profound about it, something that made his heart race. He glanced around, taking in the towering bookshelves lined with dusty tomes and artifacts from long ago. A flickering candlelight cast ghostly shapes on the walls, making them seem alive. Each corner held something new to discover, yet Oliver felt trapped by his uncertainty. "Do not be afraid," came the Vampire King's voice, breaking through Oliver's thoughts. The ruler of this castle stepped closer, his tall figure looming gracefully in the shadows. With his flowing hair and piercing gaze, he looked like someone from a fairy tale, or perhaps a nightmare. "What is your name?" Oliver asked cautiously, trying to keep his voice steady despite his pounding heart. "I am known as Dorian," replied the Vampire King with an elegant bow. "And you are quite brave to have ventured into my domain." Oliver swallowed hard and took a step back. "I didn't mean to intrude. I was just lost. I saw the castle and thought you might find shelter," Dorian interrupted gently. "Many wander these woods seeking refuge, but few find their way here." Despite feeling intimidated, Oliver sensed kindness beneath Dorian's powerful exterior. "Have you lived here for long?" he asked, curiosity bubbling up within him. "Eternity is difficult to measure when one walks between worlds," Dorian said with a hint of a smile that seemed to chase away some of Oliver's fears. "This castle has been my home for centuries." He gestured around him, as if inviting Oliver to explore more deeply. "I've never seen anything like it," Oliver admitted as he gazed at an intricate tapestry hanging on the wall. It depicted scenes of battles and mythical creatures, colors woven together like a story waiting to be told. "You see not only the beauty, but also what lies beneath it," Dorian remarked knowingly. "Many forget that every tale has its shadows." Oliver felt drawn to Dorian's words. "Do you live alone here?" he asked quietly, suddenly wishing for companionship. "For now," Dorian replied softly, his expression turning serious for a moment. "But I have created a family of my own, a group united by bond rather than blood." "What kind of family?" Oliver asked in awe. "The kind that understands loss and finds strength in each other," Dorian explained. "We share our stories under this roof, just as you wished to do back at your cottage before. Everything changed, Hearing those words struck a chord deep within Oliver's heart. The aching loneliness he had carried felt lighter somehow. A flicker of hope ignited by Dorian's promise of belonging tugged at him. "Would they accept me?" Oliver asked hesitantly, battling doubts that crept into his mind again. I'm just a boy." Dorian knelt down so they were eye to eye, his gaze steady and reassuring. "You are more than just a boy. You are someone who has faced darkness and emerged seeking light." The Vampire King paused before continuing softly. "In my family, we embrace those who have known sorrow because they understand love's value better than most." Oliver felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes as warmth spread through him. Dorian's words resonated within him, a promise that perhaps this new life could be something beautiful after all. "What would I need to do?" Oliver asked cautiously but excitedly. "First, you must choose whether you wish to join us." Dorian replied gently while rising, back to his full height. "Then we shall embark on adventures together." Feeling both fearful and excited about this unexpected opportunity, Oliver took a deep breath. The shadows had seemed so daunting moments ago, but now appeared less threatening in Dorian's presence. "I want to belong," he finally said with determination in his voice. A radiant smile spread across Dorian's face as he extended his hand toward Oliver. "Then welcome home, dear boy." Taking Dorian's hand felt like stepping into light after wandering through darkness for so long. A spark igniting hope within him that promised new beginnings filled with family and adventure beyond imagination as they ventured deeper into the mysteries of the castle together. Oliver stood in front of Dorian, his heart racing with a mix of emotions. The Vampire King's warm gaze felt inviting, but Oliver's insecurities loomed large. He had experienced such profound loss that it was difficult for him to believe he could truly belong somewhere again. As memories of his family flooded back, the sound of his mother's laughter, the warmth of his father's embrace, he felt a tear slide down his cheek. I don't know how to say this," Oliver said, his voice shaking slightly. He took a deep breath, gathering the courage to share the weight that pressed down on his heart. "I used to have a family. We were happy. At least I thought we were." Dorian nodded encouragingly, creating a safe space for Oliver's emotions to flow. "You can share anything here. There is no need to hide." With a trembling voice, Oliver continued, "We lived in a little cottage near the woods. My dad would tell stories about brave knights and far-off lands, while my mom made the best soup you could imagine. And then..." His voice broke as the painful memory of that stormy night surged through him like a tidal wave. "Then everything changed," he whispered, choking on his words. "The storm came out of nowhere, and I was so scared. I called for them so many times, but they never answered." Tears streamed down his cheeks as he struggled to hold back sobs. Dorian stepped closer, lowering himself to Oliver's level once more. "It's okay to feel this way," he said softly. "Your pain is valid. You've lost something dear and precious. Now, I'm just alone," Oliver confessed, wiping away tears with the back of his hand, feeling vulnerable yet somehow relieved to admit it out loud. "I wander these woods, feeling like a ghost, searching for something I can't find." He looked up at Dorian with big, watery eyes filled with hope and longing. "I wish I could go back home and have those moments again." The Vampire King studied him with understanding and compassion. "Home is not just a place. It is where love resides," he said gently. "You are not truly alone if your heart still seeks love and connection." but it feels impossible. Oliver cried out in frustration. How can I ever find a family again? What if you're just saying things to make me feel better? Sometimes it takes great courage to believe that we can rebuild what has been lost, Dorian replied, speaking each word carefully as if crafting a spell around Oliver's heart. Look at me. I am no stranger to loss either. His voice grew softer still as he shared his own truth. I have lived for centuries and have watched many bonds turn into shadows over time. But I chose to create a new family, one that embraces all who seek shelter under our roof. Dorian paused, letting the weight of his words settle in the air between them. Oliver felt something shift within him at this revelation. Perhaps he wasn't so different from this powerful figure before him after all. Instead of fear creeping into his heart, curiosity sparked anew. Could there really be hope? Do you think they would accept me? He asked hesitantly, still unsure if living with vampires was truly what he wanted. They will welcome you with open arms, Dorian assured him confidently. They understand what it means to be lonely and will recognize your strength in overcoming sorrow. A flicker of hope ignited inside Oliver, a tiny flame against the shadows that had shrouded him for so long. Could it be true? Could there be acceptance waiting for him upon choosing this new path? I need something different, Oliver declared boldly now, determination shining in his eyes like stars breaking through clouds after a storm. If Dorian's family truly offered understanding and love, perhaps he could find solace there. Then let us turn this moment into possibility, Dorian replied warmly as he extended his hand once more toward Oliver. With newfound resolve rising within him, Oliver took Dorian's hand tightly, a gesture laden with longing for connection and hope intertwined with uncertainty. But it felt reassuring nonetheless. I'm ready, he whispered quietly but firmly as they both stood at this pivotal crossroads together. A small boy yearning for belonging and an ancient being promising adventure awaited beyond these castle walls. Together, they would face not only the unknowns ahead, but also embrace moments filled with laughter and camaraderie that lay hidden within their intertwined fates. A journey awaiting them both where love found its way amidst shadows woven tightly around their pasts. As Oliver stood there, gripping Dorian's hand tightly, the warmth of the moment enveloped him like a comforting blanket. The shadows that had once seemed threatening now felt more like old friends, whispering secrets of promise rather than fear. Dorian's presence was reassuring, and Oliver's heart beat with a new rhythm, one filled with hope and possibility. Oliver, Dorian began, his voice smooth like silk. You've shown great courage in sharing your story. Now, I want to offer you something truly special. He paused for effect, letting the anticipation build in the air around them. What do you mean? Oliver asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows across Dorian's face, making him look even more majestic and mysterious. I am inviting you to join my family, Dorian said, extending his other hand as if presenting a grand treasure. Here in this castle, we create our own bonds. We share our laughter, our stories, and most importantly, our hearts. The words hung in the air like magic, wrapping around Oliver like a warm hug. For so long, he had felt alone and lost. But this offer struck a chord deep within him, a melody he thought he would never hear again. But you're a vampire, Oliver said hesitantly. What if I don't fit in? Dorian smiled kindly, his fangs barely visible but somehow less intimidating in this moment. Being part of my family means more than just sharing blood. It is about understanding and acceptance. In my home, we embrace those who have known sorrow because they understand love's value better than most. Oliver felt another tear trickle down his cheek. Not from sadness this time, but from the warmth of hope blooming within him. What kind of adventures would we have? He asked with renewed curiosity. Ah, the adventures are endless, Dorian exclaimed with enthusiasm. His eyes sparkled like stars in the night sky. We explore enchanted forests where the trees speak ancient languages. We dance under moonlit skies with creatures of the night and tell stories that echo through time. The images painted by Dorian's words filled Oliver's mind with wonder. He could almost see himself running through fields of glowing flowers or sitting around a crackling fire with new friends who understood him completely. Will I really be accepted? Oliver pressed on, still feeling a twinge of doubt. I'm just a boy who lost everything. You are not just a boy. You are someone who has faced darkness and emerged seeking light, Dorian replied firmly, yet gently. Every member of my family has their own story to tell, a past filled with loss or hardship, and yet we have found strength in each other. The Vampire King stepped back slightly, giving Oliver space to absorb his words. It was true that everyone had their battles. Perhaps being part of this unique family would provide him with the understanding he craved. What if I'm scared? Oliver whispered after a moment of silence. Fear is natural when stepping into the unknown. Dorian reassured him with an understanding nod. But remember that sometimes it is through fear that we find our greatest strengths. Oliver looked up at Dorian, seeing not just a powerful being before him, but also a mentor, a guide who offered not only adventure, but also friendship and acceptance. It was everything he had been longing for since losing his family. I want to belong, Oliver said slowly but firmly, as determination surged within him once more. Dorian's smile broadened with genuine joy. Then take this step forward into your new life, one filled with moments that will shape you into someone extraordinary. With a sense of resolution blossoming inside him, Oliver took a deep breath and nodded. I'm ready. The words poured out of him like sunlight, breaking through clouds after a storm. Welcome home, dear boy, Dorian said warmly, as he wrapped an arm around Oliver's shoulders like an older brother would do for his sibling. Together, they walked deeper into the castle, its walls resonating with unspoken promises of laughter and belonging. Waiting just beyond each corner they turned. As they delved further into this new world, the vast halls lined with portraits that seemed to wink at them and staircases spiraling toward hidden realms. Oliver felt something shift inside him, an exciting anticipation for what lay ahead. This was not merely an escape from loneliness. It was the beginning of a journey filled with adventure, discovery, and love. A chance to find his place among those who understood his heart's desires in ways he never thought possible. In that moment, alongside Dorian, the Vampire King, Oliver realized he was no longer just wandering through shadows. He was stepping boldly into the light of belonging and friendship that awaited him within this enchanting castle. As Oliver walked alongside Dorian deeper into the castle, the warmth from the Vampire King's arm around his shoulders felt comforting. Yet a swirl of uncertainty began to tug at his heart. He had desired belonging for so long, but now that it was within reach, doubts clouded his mind like stormy skies. What did it truly mean to be part of a vampire family? Would he be safe? Dorian, Oliver said hesitantly, pausing in front of a massive tapestry depicting a fierce battle between knights and dragons. The colors were vibrant, yet the scene was intense and overwhelming. What if I can't fit in? What if I'm not like you? Dorian turned to face him, his eyes shimmering with understanding. You are not expected to be just like us, Oliver. Each member of our family brings their own strengths and stories. It is those differences that create the beautiful tapestry of our lives together. But you're a vampire, Oliver exclaimed, frustration creeping into his voice. What if I don't understand your world? What if I end up being afraid or, worse, hurt? Dorian's expression softened as he knelt down to Oliver's eye level. Fear often comes from the unknown. I will guide you through this new life. There is much to learn, but also much to experience, including joy and laughter. Oliver bit his lip, a deep-rooted worry rising within him. What if you are all different? He hesitated before continuing. What if I never belong? I'm just a boy who has lost everything. What if I lose this chance too? Every journey begins with uncertainty, Dorian replied gently. But do not forget that you are more than just a boy. You have faced darkness and emerged seeking light. That courage is what will help you find your place here. The reassurance in Dorian's words brought only partial comfort. Oliver could still feel the doubts gnawing at him like a persistent whisper in the back of his mind. And what if something happens to me? He asked quietly, the fear of vulnerability surfacing again. What do you fear most? Dorian asked, his voice low and soothing. I fear never feeling safe again, Oliver admitted softly, glancing down at the floor as memories of the storm and separation rushed back to him. The fear, the chaos, and the loneliness lingering like shadows on his heart. Dorian placed a hand on Oliver's shoulder, grounding him in that moment. Safety is built on trust. Here in this castle, you will not be alone. You will have companions who will stand by you through whatever challenges arise. He paused and added with a hint of mischief, and we may even encounter a few adventures along the way that will make your heart race for entirely different reasons. A small smile tugged at the corners of Oliver's lips as he thought about the adventures Dorian had described earlier. Exploring enchanted forests and dancing under moonlit skies. But that smile quickly faded as another doubt rose to the surface. What if they don't want me? What if they see me as a burden? Then it would be their loss. Dorian replied firmly, yet kindly. Those who are worthy of your friendship will embrace you wholly, and those who do not, well, they simply haven't learned the value of true connection. Oliver took a deep breath, trying to absorb all that Dorian was saying. Could it really be true? Could there be acceptance waiting for him among these mysterious beings? Yet a small voice inside him continued to question whether he was brave enough to take that leap into the unknown. Dorian, Oliver said tentatively, what if I fail at being part of your family? What if I can't meet your expectations? Expectations can weigh heavily on one's heart, Dorian said wisely. But remember this, I do not expect perfection. I only wish for you to be yourself, authentic and true. That is more than enough. With each word Dorian spoke, Oliver felt some of his worries begin to ease, yet others remained like stubborn shadows, lurking just out of sight. In this moment of vulnerability, he realized how deeply he craved acceptance, the kind he had once experienced as a child filled with laughter and love. I want to believe you, Oliver murmured, looking up at Dorian with earnest eyes. Then start with trust, Dorian replied softly. Trust in this moment. Trust in your heart. and trust that you have already taken one brave step forward by being here." Oliver nodded slowly, feeling both heavy with doubt and light with hope as he processed everything Dorian had shared. Perhaps he could find healing within these walls, not just from others, but also within himself. As they continued walking together through the castle's vast halls adorned with ancient art and stories waiting to be told, Oliver felt a flicker of determination spark within him once more. The desire to overcome his fears and embrace this new beginning alongside those who might become his family. Though hesitation still lingered at the edges of his mind like wisps of smoke after a fire is burned out, he resolved to take one step at a time, a journey towards belonging woven together by threads of courage and acceptance in this extraordinary world waiting just beyond every corner. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of purple and gold, Oliver found himself in the heart of the castle, surrounded by laughter and excitement. The hallways that had once felt intimidating were now alive with vibrant energy, as Dorian led him to a grand room filled with twinkling lights and decorations that danced in the dim light. "Welcome to our night of fun and magic," Dorian announced with a flourish, his voice echoing delightfully across the walls. The room was buzzing with activity. Various members of the vampire family were gathered, their faces illuminated with joy and mischief. Oliver's heart raced as he stepped inside. He had never seen anything like it. Long tables overflowed with delicious treats. Silver platters piled high with pastries that sparkled like stars and bowls of colorful fruit that seemed to glow in the warm light. In one corner, a group of vampires was engaged in a lively game of charades, their exaggerated gestures causing fits of laughter to erupt among those watching. "Come," Dorian beckoned Oliver forward. "This is only just the beginning." With wide eyes, Oliver followed him into the midst of the festivities. As they moved through the crowd, members of Dorian's family greeted Oliver warmly, each sharing a unique talent or story that showcased their gifts and quirks. A tall vampire with flowing hair introduced herself as Lila. "I can make flowers bloom at any time," she boasted playfully before waving her hand over a nearby plant. Instantly, it erupted into beautiful blossoms that shimmered in shades of blue and silver. "Wow!" Oliver exclaimed, his earlier fears melting away like morning fog in the light of day. "Just wait until I show you my shadow tricks," chimed in another vampire named Felix, who was never without an impish grin. He darted away into a darkened corner and returned moments later, surrounded by swirling shadows that danced like playful spirits. Oliver couldn't help but laugh at their antics, feeling an unexpected warmth swelling in his chest, the feeling of belonging he had longed for after so much loss. Dorian watched him with a knowing smile, pleased to see Oliver easing into this new environment. "Shall we play some games?" Dorian suggested, clapping his hands together excitedly. The vampires cheered in agreement, gathering around as they prepared for an evening filled with friendly competition. The first game was a magical version of hide-and-seek called Shadow Chaser. One member would count while everyone else slipped away into cleverly concealed corners of the grand hall, often behind furniture that suddenly sprouted flowers or after slipping through curtains that transformed into shimmering veils. Laughter rang out as each vampire used their unique abilities to outwit those seeking them. When it was Oliver's turn to hide, he pressed his back against a large tapestry depicting a heroic battle scene. A perfect place for someone small enough to blend in. He could hardly contain his giggles when he noticed one vampire attempting to sneak up on another by gently floating above him, but miscalculating her landing. She landed softly on top of an ornate table full of desserts instead, sending cupcakes flying everywhere. The room erupted into laughter once more, and for the first time since arriving at the castle, Oliver completely forgot about his worries. He was just enjoying being part of something wonderful. After several rounds filled with shrieks of victory and bursts of mirth echoing off stone walls, they gathered around another table laden with snacks for a cozy storytelling session. Vampires regaled each other and Oliver with tales from centuries past about brave adventures and unexpected friendships born from unlikely circumstances. Dorian encouraged Oliver to share his own story next. Hesitantly at first, but gradually finding strength within himself as he recounted tales from his childhood home. The warmth of family dinners and evenings spent by fireside telling stories just like these. As he spoke, he saw nods of recognition among those around him. They understood joy and sorrow, and every word felt like sealing an unspoken bond between them all. When Oliver finished speaking, there was silence for a moment before applause erupted around him. A warm embrace that filled him with pride rather than embarrassment. "Incredible!" Lila exclaimed enthusiastically. "You have such bravery. Thank you for sharing your story." As laughter resumed, along with more adventures shared late into the night beneath twinkling stars visible through castle windows, Oliver felt lighter than air. Like he truly belonged among these remarkable beings who accepted him just as he was. In moments filled with magic and friendship, sprinkled throughout tales told under starlit ceilings adorned by dancing shadows. The doubts that had once lingered quietly dissolved entirely from Oliver's heart. Tonight would be forever etched in his memory. Not just as an evening spent enjoying games, but also as one where courage bloomed anew. A night transforming shadows into vibrant connections woven together through adventure and acceptance within this extraordinary new home where love thrived amid laughter echoing endlessly against ancient stone walls. As the days turned into weeks at the castle, Oliver began to feel more at home among Dorian's unusual family. Laughter echoed off the ancient stone walls, and he found comfort in their shared stories and experiences. Each day brought about new adventures, but one evening, as they gathered around a crackling fireplace, Oliver felt an urge to learn more about the vampire world that surrounded him. "Dorian," he said, looking up from his spot on a plush rug where he sat with several other members of the family. "What is it really like to be a vampire? What are your strengths and weaknesses?" Dorian smiled knowingly at Oliver's curiosity. "Ah, you wish to learn our lore. It's an important part of understanding who we are." He gestured for everyone to lean in closer as he began to share. Vampires are mystical beings that possess many abilities, yet also carry certain limitations. For instance, we are strong and agile, able to move faster than the eye can see. And we have heightened senses that allow us to hear whispers from afar and see in darkness. The other vampires nodded in agreement, some demonstrating their agility by playfully darting across the room with effortless grace. Oliver watched in awe, feeling a rush of excitement at the thought of possessing such abilities. "But with these gifts come weaknesses," Dorian continued, his voice becoming serious. "We cannot withstand sunlight for too long. It burns us like fire." He paused for effect before adding, "And we must always respect the balance of life, taking only what is needed." "Does that mean you can't eat regular food?" Oliver asked, his brow furrowing with concern. The laughter around them faded into a gentle hush. Dorian chuckled softly before replying, "We can enjoy regular food. It brings joy after all. But our sustenance comes from blood, a necessity for our survival." Seeing Oliver's eyes widen in surprise, Dorian quickly added reassuringly, "Rest assured, we only feed on willing donors or those who offer themselves out of trust and love." A thoughtful silence filled the room as Oliver absorbed this new knowledge. He realized that while being a vampire came with challenges, there was also a deep sense of connection among them, a bond built on trust and loyalty that he longed to understand further. "What about loyalty?" Oliver asked suddenly. "Does it matter among vampires?" "Loyalty is perhaps our strongest bond," another vampire interjected. This one named Mira, her long hair shimmering like silver under the firelight. "When one becomes part of our family, their struggles become ours. We protect each other fiercely because every story we share strengthens our ties." Oliver felt warmth spread through him at her words, resonating deeply with his own desire for belonging. "So, you would never let each other down," he clarified. "Exactly," Dorian affirmed enthusiastically. "Loyalty means supporting one another no matter what comes our way or what challenges arise." Mira leaned forward earnestly. "If you ever feel afraid or lost again, know that you have us behind you. We have all faced shadows in our lives, dark moments that taught us the importance of standing together." As she spoke, memories flooded back into Oliver's mind. The feelings of isolation after losing his own family during the storm. The thought of having a supportive network filled him with hope that blossomed brighter than ever before. "To be part of this family means if one of us falters," Dorian explained gently, "the rest will rise beside them until they find their footing again, just as I aim to do for you." Feeling both honored and motivated by their commitment to one another stirred something within Oliver. Determination to not only learn, but also contribute to this newfound family dynamic. "I want to help," he declared boldly after gathering his courage once more. "I want to be loyal just like you all are." Laughter erupted once more as Felix clapped him on the back playfully. "Then get ready. Training begins tomorrow." "What kind of training?" Oliver asked curiously. "Oh, you'll see," Felix replied mischievously. Excitement bubbled inside Oliver as he looked around at all these incredible beings who embraced him just as he was. He knew now that understanding their world would only deepen his connection to them all. That night around the fireplace marked not just a lesson about vampires, but also an awakening within himself. A realization that loyalty ran deeper than blood. It was woven into every shared laugh, every moment spent together under starlit skies, filled with untold stories waiting just beyond reach, and every warm embrace offered when doubts lingered close at hand, with renewed resolve shining within him like bright embers from the hearth's glow, dancing joyfully against dark surroundings. Oliver felt ready not only to explore this magical realm, but also nurture bonds rooted firmly in trust and loyalty forevermore, amidst shadows where light thrived endlessly alongside friendship, blooming brightly within its warmth. As days turned into weeks, Oliver began to feel more comfortable in the castle. Yet a flutter of uncertainty still occasionally threatened to surface. He watched Dorian and the other vampires interact with one another, sharing jokes, supporting each other, and telling stories filled with laughter and warmth. It was clear that they had formed strong bonds, and Oliver longed to be part of that closeness. But he still worried about his place among them. One afternoon, as Dorian and Oliver gathered in the courtyard to train, Oliver felt a rush of excitement battling against his nerves. It was time to put his commitment to loyalty into action. Dorian had promised that this would be a fun but challenging experience. One that would teach Oliver not only about being a vampire, but also what it meant to be part of their family. First, Dorian began with a grin. "We're going to practice our agility and strength." He motioned toward an obstacle course created from enchanted vines and magical plants that glowed softly in the sunlight. Oliver's eyes widened at the sight. "You want me to go through that?" he exclaimed, feeling both exhilarated and terrified by the challenge ahead. "Just remember, I will be right here with you," Dorian assured him as he guided Oliver to the starting line. "Trust yourself and trust me." Taking a deep breath, Oliver nodded slowly. He stepped forward cautiously, suddenly recalling his earlier doubts about fitting in or proving himself worthy of their trust. But something within him sparked, a desire to overcome those fears and show this new family what he could do. With Dorian cheering him on, Oliver took off across the course. He leapt over glowing vines, ducked beneath archways of shimmering flowers, and climbed steep but friendly hills that giggled as he passed them by. Each obstacle became less daunting than the last. Laughter bubbled from his lips as he felt free, truly alive for the first time since losing everything. "Good job," Dorian called out enthusiastically as Oliver cleared one especially tricky jump with newfound confidence. "Now remember to always lean on your friends when you falter." Suddenly, feeling emboldened, Oliver turned back to Dorian. "I can do this. I want to show everyone I belong here," he shouted, determination shining brightly in his eyes. "Then let's finish strong," Dorian encouraged him with a proud smile. As they approached the final challenge, a steep climb up a hill where vines waved playfully, the laughter faded for just a moment. He could feel the weight of his fears trying to creep back in again. What if I fall? What if I'm not strong enough? However, catching a glimpse of Dorian's reassuring gaze helped push those thoughts away, like shadows fleeing from light. In that moment of clarity, Oliver understood. It wasn't just about completing the courses. It was about building trust, not only with himself, but with Dorian and others who believed in him wholeheartedly. With renewed resolve coursing through him, he tackled the hill head-on, with every step revealing new strength hidden inside. When he finally reached the top, relief washed over him like cool rain after a blazing sun. He turned around triumphantly to face Dorian, who broke into enthusiastic applause. "Now that was incredible," Dorian exclaimed before pulling him into an embrace that communicated more than mere words ever could express. Acceptance wrapped firmly around them like soft silk. At that moment, Oliver felt a shift within himself. The kind of connection he'd yearned for blossoming between them. Evidence of trust building each time they conquered challenges together. As they descended down the hill, side by side, amid hearty laughter echoing around them like songbirds returning homeward after winter's chill faded away. His heart soared higher than ever before. Later that evening, around dinner tables filled with delicious food once more adorned lavishly beneath twinkling chandeliers made from golden, glimmering light. Oliver gladly joined in several conversations filled with joy among family members discussing their days while sharing their unique talents openly without hesitation or fear of judgment, lingering behind friendly smiles painted across familiar faces. As they shared stories about their lives before joining this unique family, a blend of bravery woven together amidst moments spent overcoming challenges grew stronger between them each passing day. The bond between everyone deepened immeasurably, allowing trust between them all solidify further, while erasing any previous hesitations lingering quietly away, hidden behind dim shadows where fear once resided. By embracing their differences through shared laughter alongside joyful moments spent training together, Oliver discovered how powerful connections built on trust could shape relationships forevermore, strengthening ties deeper than blood alone ever could create, within surroundings filled entirely by love, thrumming gently along pulses, beating proudly within shared hearts, united endlessly despite past wounds, healing gradually underneath soft, moonlit skies, casting gentle glances lovingly down below, showcasing resilience. Brighter than stars themselves, lighting pathways toward acceptance, amidst expanded horizons, filled endlessly without any fog, concealing futures bursting forth, full brightness, awaiting him just beyond every corner ahead, waiting patiently until finally discovered ready open arms, promising refuge, anew, waiting there always, whenever needed most. Belonging lived real vividly, finally became palpable, woven intricately throughout nights, spent laughing freely, slumbering peacefully, cocooned, warmly, wrapped securely within embrace after embrace, held closely tight, forever more promising companionship, never fading away again. One crisp evening, as twilight painted the sky in deep blues and purples, Oliver and his vampire family gathered in the castle courtyard for their regular training session. They had been practicing agility and teamwork for weeks, but tonight felt different. An electric tension hung in the air. Dorian sensed it too. "Gather around, everyone," Dorian said, his voice steady and commanding. "Tonight, we test not only our skills, but our trust in one another." Curiosity sparked in Oliver's eyes as he joined the others, feeling both excitement and a hint of anxiety. What challenge lay ahead? Dorian gestured towards a dense thicket at the edge of the courtyard, a place they rarely ventured near. "In this thicket lives a creature that has been causing disturbances in nearby villages," Dorian explained, his tone serious. "It's important we handle this together as a team. We must show courage and rely on one another." Oliver's heart raced at the thought of facing a creature, fear creeping back into his mind like old shadows. However, he reminded himself of how far he had come since finding this family. He looked around at the other vampires. Each face wore a look of determination and readiness, and he felt inspired. "What kind of creature is it?" Oliver asked nervously. "A wraith," Dorian replied, his expression grave. "It feeds on fear and darkness. If it is not stopped, it could harm those who wander too close. But remember, fear is its weapon. Courage is ours." The others nodded in agreement, each expressing their own silent resolve to protect not just themselves, but their community as well. Sensing Oliver's hesitation, Leela stepped closer to him. "We'll be right beside you," she reassured him with a warm smile. "You're part of our family now." Feeling fortified by her words, Oliver squared his shoulders and took a deep breath. "Let's go," Felix shouted playfully as they moved toward the thicket together. As they approached the darkened area, shadows danced among the trees like wisps of smoke. The atmosphere thickened with tension, pushing against their resolve. Dorian led the group with confidence, but Oliver stayed close behind him, ready to follow his lead. Suddenly, from within the thicket came an eerie wail, a chilling sound that sent shivers down Oliver's spine. The wraith emerged slowly from behind a gnarled tree, its form translucent and swirling like mist caught in a breeze. Its eyes glowed with an unsettling light that seemed to draw out every ounce of warmth in the air. Oliver felt fear wash over him like icy water. He instinctively took a step backward. But he glanced at Dorian beside him. The Vampire King stood firm and unwavering. "Remember what we discussed. Stay together," Dorian commanded firmly. With renewed courage from Dorian's presence, Oliver steadied himself once more alongside Lila and Felix. The wraith lunged forward with an unnatural speed, its shadowy claws aimed directly at them. "Now!" Dorian yelled as he leapt forward to confront the creature head-on while Oliver watched closely. In that split second when everything seemed to slow down, Oliver saw how Dorian expertly dodged the wraith's attack, while simultaneously calling out strategies to his family members. Lila, use your flower magic to distract it. Felix, get behind it. Without hesitation, Lila raised her hand high into the air. Vibrant flowers sprouted from her fingertips, then exploded into colorful blossoms that filled the air with sweet scents. A stark contrast to the wraith's dark essence. The wraith hesitated for just a moment as confusion flickered across its misty form. Seizing this opportunity, Felix darted behind it swiftly and reached for Oliver's hand. "Let's flank it," Felix urged with excitement dancing in his eyes. Together they moved silently but quickly around the creature, while it was distracted by Lila's magic. Feeling empowered by their teamwork, Oliver's heart surged with determination. He sprinted alongside Felix while keeping an eye on their surroundings. Just as they planned, they encircled the wraith completely. Dorian leading one side while Lila continued to create colorful distractions on another, until finally they managed to pin it against an ancient tree that absorbed some of its dark energy. In that moment of unity, their strengths combining, it was almost like magic itself coursed through them all. Bravery, igniting courage among friends, transformed into unstoppable force. With one final push, fueled by pure determination and teamwork echoing loudly through their hearts like war drums urging them onward, they managed to subdue the wraith enough for it to dissipate into mist before vanishing entirely along with its haunting cries, fading away into silence, breathing heavily yet triumphantly victorious now. They stood together, huddled tight, still gazing out beyond, where shadows danced lightly, reflecting only laughter instead. Knowing this challenge was nothing without shared support, through every difficult moment faced together, unyieldingly united, stronger than ever, forming bonds forged deep beneath skin, etched forevermore within memories, made tangible, sealed tight between laughter spent amid brightening futures, bursting forth, promising adventure anew whenever needed, most always beckoning, welcoming embrace awaiting each soul, warmly found safe, sheltered, securely wrapped, firmly held close, pressed against love, thrumming gently alive, beating proudly, uniting all hearts, striving towards brighter tomorrows, unconfined by fears lingering quietly far behind, replaced instead by friendship blossoming beautifully, woven intricately throughout every shared joy, found along paths walked hand in hand, moving forward bravely together, shining brightly forevermore. As the days continued to blend into weeks, Oliver felt himself growing ever more rooted in the castle. Each passing moment spent with Dorian and his newfound vampire family cemented a sense of belonging within him. A feeling he hadn't experienced since that fateful storm tore his previous life away. He had faced fears and challenges beside these remarkable beings, and with every shared laugh and struggle, his heart expanded with warmth and acceptance. One sunny afternoon, the courtyard buzzed with lively chatter as Oliver joined his vampire family for a picnic. Vibrant blankets adorned the grass, filled with an array of delicious foods prepared by Lila, who had a talent for cooking that rivaled any chef. The enticing scents wafting through the air made Oliver feel at home, as laughter mingled with the songs of chirping birds overhead. "Dig in," Lila called excitedly, gesturing for everyone to enjoy the feast spread across the blankets. As they began eating together, Oliver's heart swelled as he listened to stories shared among family members. They recounted tales of past adventures, escapades filled with humor and camaraderie, each one punctuated by bursts of laughter that felt infectious. He marveled at how effortlessly they connected, their bonds rooted in loyalty, built over lifetimes filled with experiences. Feeling emboldened by their warmth, Oliver decided it was time to share a story of his own, a tale that showcased not only his journey, but also how far he had come. Clearing his throat slightly to gather everyone's attention, he began recounting moments from his childhood, fleeting memories of family dinners around a worn table and evenings spent by a crackling fire. As he spoke, he noticed that the other vampires listened intently. Faces lit up not just with understanding but genuine empathy. Their expressions reflected recognition of the love he missed, weaving a connection deeper than words alone could express. When Oliver finished speaking, there was a brief moment of silence before applause erupted around him. A warm embrace, confirming he was truly part of this extraordinary family. "You're one of us now," Dorian said warmly as he placed a reassuring hand on Oliver's shoulder. "Never forget that." In that moment, something shifted within Oliver. All those lingering doubts about whether he belonged or deserved this life began dissipating like fog under sunlight. Here among them, these incredible beings, he felt loved and accepted exactly as he was. The day pressed on. They played games under the golden rays, filtering through leaves, dancing gently above them while sharing stories and laughter well into twilight's embrace. As night fell gently around them, Oliver found himself lying back on the grass alongside Felix and Mira, gazing up at twinkling stars dotting the sky like diamonds scattered across velvet. "Do you think we can really face anything together?" Oliver pondered aloud as dreams flickered like unseen fireflies around them. "Absolutely," Felix declared enthusiastically without hesitation. "Family sticks together no matter what." Mira nodded in agreement, resting her head against Oliver's shoulder for comfort. "We are stronger united than apart," she added softly. Feeling emboldened by their words once again, his heart brimmed with hope, reverberating joyfully against shadows lingering quietly behind him. The realization struck him. He had finally found where he belonged. Days turned into weeks once more, melding seamlessly one afternoon after another. With each new sunrise bringing challenges, embraced collectively, showcasing strength, radiating brightly amidst shared laughter, echoing off stone walls, interwoven tightly, weaving bonds forged in trust deep beneath skin. They illuminated paths previously hidden beyond, sight revealing futures bursting forth bright, clean without fog. Concealing dreams, lingering patiently everywhere beyond every corner, just waiting for eager hearts to uncover. Unlocking doors leading toward endless possibilities, blossoming beautifully, woven intricately throughout moments spent entwined, wrapped securely firm, held close forever, more promising companionship or never fading away again. Oliver understood now that this family would always stand beside him, through every uncertainty or challenge yet to come. It didn't matter if they were vampires or humans. It mattered only that love danced throughout their connections, nurturing friendships, based on acceptance, sealing promises made forevermore. Leaving traces indelibly inked upon hearts, bravely beating proudly together, undeterred by whatever lay ahead. Knowing they would face it united, fearlessly holding hands, guiding one another toward brighter tomorrows. As the days turned into weeks, Oliver found himself fully embracing his new life in the castle, surrounded by the warmth and camaraderie of Dorian and his unusual vampire family. Each morning brought fresh adventures, whether it was exploring hidden corners of the ancient castle or embarking on daring quests to protect their community from lurking shadows. With every experience, Oliver felt his heart grow lighter, filled with joy and purpose. One particularly bright morning, Dorian gathered everyone in the courtyard for an important announcement. The sun filtered through the leaves above, casting dappled patterns on the ground, as laughter and chatter filled the air. Oliver stood among his friends, Lila, Felix, Mira, and many others, feeling a sense of excitement crackle through him. Today marks a new beginning for us all, Dorian declared, his voice booming with enthusiasm as he surveyed those gathered before him. We have proven ourselves not just as individuals, but as a family united. Together, we will celebrate our victories and honor our bonds. Oliver glanced around at the faces of those who had become so dear to him. They were more than just companions. They were a family woven together through shared dreams and challenges faced side by side. A wave of gratitude washed over him as he realized how far he had come from that lonely boy lost in a dark forest. Dorian continued, "To commemorate this journey we've taken together, I propose an adventure. We will journey to the nearby enchanted woods, where legends say hidden treasures await us." His eyes sparkled with excitement as he spoke. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Everyone seemed eager to embark on this new quest. Oliver's heart raced with anticipation at the thought of exploring magical woods alongside his newfound family. He could hardly believe how quickly he had transformed from a timid boy afraid of shadows to someone ready to dive headfirst into adventure. With laughter echoing around them, they prepared for their journey. Dorian divided them into pairs for safety while exploring. Oliver was paired with Felix, whose playful nature always made him feel at ease. As they set off toward the woods, Oliver felt invigorated by the energy surrounding them. It was contagious. The path wound through vibrant fields, blooming with wildflowers that danced in the gentle breeze. A stark contrast to Oliver's previous life, where the color felt muted under heavy clouds of sorrow. He inhaled deeply, soaking in sweet scents that reminded him of home, of laughter shared around a dinner table and stories told beside flickering fires. As they entered the enchanted woods, sunlight streamed through gaps in branches overhead like golden ribbons cascading down upon them. It felt like stepping into another world, alive with magic, a realm bursting with possibility awaiting discovery. "Watch out for any creatures that may lurk about," Felix teased playfully as they ventured deeper into the woods together. Suddenly, they stumbled upon a clearing where radiant light shimmered off something glimmering beneath a cluster of rocks. Curiosity piqued. They approached cautiously to investigate further. Just then, an ominous growl echoed behind them, a reminder that not all creatures carried kindness. Oliver froze momentarily. Fear crept back into his heart, the shadows threatening to return. But he quickly recalled Dorian's teachings about courage and teamwork. With Felix by his side, he felt emboldened once more. "Let's face it together," Oliver said firmly, as they turned to confront whatever emerged from behind the trees. As a large creature bounded into view, a guardian of treasures adorned with shimmering scales, they instinctively stood shoulder to shoulder, ready for anything ahead. The guardian regarded them curiously before speaking in a deep, rumbling voice. "Only those who seek treasure with pure hearts may pass." Feeling connected to every lesson learned since arriving at the castle, moments spent training alongside newfound friends, Oliver stepped forward confidently and spoke from his heart. "We seek not just treasure, but understanding and connection." The guardian's gaze softened upon hearing Oliver's words. It stepped aside gracefully, revealing hidden treasures, twinkling brightly beneath radiant sunlight, spilling forth invitingly from between rocks nearby. Joy surged within Oliver. This was no ordinary treasure. It represented everything he had found. Friendship forged amidst trials faced together, leading toward brighter tomorrows, brimming full life, ever more promising companionship, never fading away again. After gathering their treasures and sharing hearty laughter throughout their adventure, the feeling of belonging wrapped tightly around Oliver, like a comforting blanket. He realized he had finally found his place among these remarkable beings. As twilight approached, once more casting hues across sky, painting scenes anew, that familiar fluttering uncertainty faded entirely, replaced instead by confidence shining brightly, illuminating paths forward, unconfined by fears lingering quietly behind. Knowing love thrummed gently alive, beating proudly, united forever, more guiding each soul onward toward brighter horizons, waiting patiently beyond every corner. Ready open arms, promising refuge anew whenever needed most. In that moment, surrounded by family, his heart swelling with pride, Oliver embraced this new beginning wholeheartedly. A life filled with adventures awaiting him beside those who accepted him without hesitation or fear. Together facing whatever challenges lay ahead, hand in hand, exploring realms unknown.